Hey everybody, Jeff Mays here. Let's talk about the difference between sales and marketing. Now, while sales is a unique thing, it's the act of providing service or getting someone to buy something and then delivering it to them. Marketing's a bigger thing. And the way I look at marketing is it's the whole system of how business attracts, gets, and retains customers while they service them to keep them for a longer period of time. So sales is part of the marketing ecosystem, but it's not a standalone thing. If you just had sales and nothing else to support it, it'd be pretty hard to keep the sales team going. So let's think about how that works right now. You know, in a traditional business, we used to do advertising. The advertising would bring the people into the business. The salespeople would meet, greet, and sell them something, and then somebody would help get the product or service together and get it delivered to the customer. And sometimes, if you had service available there, you might be able to service them and make additional money, or at least provide additional things and hope that they would come back down the road when they saw another ad and buy something else. I wanted to look at something today that happened to me recently that kind of shows what's changing in that sales and marketing world. And that is when I went to buy a car. You know, my car is 10 years old, and I said it's time to replace the car. Almost 100,000 miles. It's time to send this one down the road and get a new one for the next 100,000 miles. Well, that was in November. And in November, I decided to do a little research, which I did via the internet, of something called a plug-in hybrid. Now, I was intrigued by that idea. I've got a hybrid car now, but a plug-in hybrid might be able to get me to where I would never have to use gas again based upon how many miles I drive. Great idea. I did my research. I called a couple of dealerships. Couldn't really get any answers. Nobody would call me back. So I went over to my local Toyota dealership. I saw they had a RAV4 Prime, which was a plug-in hybrid car, and that would meet my needs. So I went over there and I asked the sales manager, who I dealt with years ago, 10 years ago, and said, what are we looking at? Do you have one on the lot? Can I take it for a drive? I want to understand what this plug-in part of the hybrid is. So no, we can't sell them. Kind of looked at him funny, and I was like, what? You can't sell me a car that Toyota makes? He said, no, we don't get them in this state. But you can drive 9 miles south to the other state that borders us and probably get one there. So I thought about it. I didn't really want to go shopping, because I really don't like shopping for things like cars. But I finally, after a few days, called, asked around to 4 or 5 dealers in that other state. Nobody had one on the lot. Nobody would let me look at one. And I started going, what the heck is going on? I called one dealer finally and said, could I just come down and get a brochure? If you have something that's just a hybrid version of that, could I sit in it and just see how it fits me? Yeah, you can sit in one, but there's no brochure. I was like, what? What's going on? Well, everything's on the internet now. You can just go on and download it and print it if you want, but we don't have any brochures or sales booklets anymore. So that's what I did. I went online. And then I got a great idea, right? I said, let me look at YouTube. They're trying to get me to go use the internet. I'll go use the internet. So I went on YouTube and I started finding a ton of bloggers on YouTube, influencers on YouTube that are doing reviews. And I started to understand what was going on. Rather than spend money printing things, putting big ads out, this whole thing was pretty quiet. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing they're sending cars to these bloggers. They're sending cars to these influencers, having them drive them for a week, having an event where they have a lot of cars, and then they're putting it on YouTube. And people are going to YouTube and searching and learning about the cars, not from the salespeople, not from a sales brochure from the company, but from reviews and from tests and things that bloggers, social influencers are doing on the internet. I was shocked. I hadn't looked at a car for a few years, and all of a sudden the whole model was turned upside down, and I was going, what the heck is going on? I don't understand. Where did the salespeople, where did the knowledgeable people to answer the questions, to come up with the right answers for me, where did they go? Well, there were still salespeople, But when you called them, they go, I've never seen the car. We haven't had one delivered yet. So I started looking at other brands, hoping that maybe somebody could help me. And the other brands I looked at were worse. They hadn't even had any training yet on the car. They didn't know what it looked like. Anyway, long story short, it took me a couple of months. Finally, in February, I finally reached the decision that if I was going to have to pay for a car and pay way over MSRP for something that I was okay, it wasn't great, the plug-in hybrid, why not just go fully electric? Well, I found a dealer, finally, that would take me and say, okay, we'll give it to you from MSRP, but it's going to take probably 6 or 7 months to get the car. I was really happy about that, just because of where I've been. I can't believe I was happy about it, to be honest about it. Wasn't much of a sales effort on the person's end over there. I called. I actually emailed a salesman I knew there and found out he no longer worked there. And then I found that it was easy to talk to the sales manager and get the car ordered through another salesperson. I did all the work myself. I sold myself. I did the research. I looked up all the specs. I did everything on the internet. I even ordered the car online and pushed it over to them to finalize the order with my deposit. I did all the work. Where did this come from? Well, it doesn't take much to see that people like Tesla, people like Rivian, have been using this model now for a few years. They don't have dealerships. All they have is delivery, and then they have servicing dealers. And I started thinking about that and thinking about the dealership model that I had worked around for, 20, 25 years. And all of a sudden I'm realizing that's going to go extinct. We're doing things at the dealer level. They're doing things at the dealer level that don't make sense. They're putting enormous markups on cars, so it pushes people to go elsewhere. They either go to a different state or they go to a different company. It doesn't make sense what's going on. So I finally just looked at it and said, I'm going to order something I can get. It'll be at a price that I know what it'll be, and it'll get delivered sometime. Well, that change in my whole mind about salespeople, about what they do, how they do it, how they provide service to their customers, just was blown out of the water. I didn't have a salesperson along the whole way that was trained on the product. I didn't have anybody in 2 months of looking that could answer my questions. I had to go on YouTube and on social media and learn about the product that I wanted to buy, because nobody's telling me what I need to know any other way. Can you believe that? I really can't believe that sales has gone out the window at car dealerships. Well, they're pricing themselves out of business too by that additional dealer markup. The markup they're putting on, sometimes up to $25,000 on a car, is crazy. They're not earning it. They're not really doing much for it. They're just taking advantage. And there's people that'll pay it. So you can't ever say, I guess there's a sucker born every minute, right? That's what's happening to a certain degree. Well, let's go back to the sales model. You know, the sales model that I've always said is that the sales, you provide service, you find out what the customer wants, you provide service, you answer their questions, you fulfill their needs, and then you provide the product at a fair price. Always seemed to work for me. All of a sudden, that's upside down. And I'm really upside down with all this. There's no printed materials. There's no salespeople that know anything. The dealers are putting this enormous markup on. A lot of them are flat salary salespeople, so they're not enjoying it. It's going right to the dealer. The dealer's still getting his holdback on the cars. They're making more money than ever, which I'm glad they are, because they're pricing themselves out of the business. These manufacturers eventually will end up doing what Tesla and Rivian are doing, and they'll end up going direct to the customer for sales and then hire independent shops to do the service. Well, I know I just read some information about Ford and the fact that they may spin off all their electric cars into a different dealership and then segment their dealers by type of vehicle they sell. So you might be a Ford car dealer, you may be a Ford truck dealer, you may be a heavy-duty dealer, and you may be an electric vehicle dealer. Different idea, but maybe it'll work. But My guess is that a lot of the vehicles will be ordered online, very simple options that are all pre-engineered so you can't order it wrong, and then they'll turn around, deliver the vehicle, probably pay the dealer a small delivery charge that they can then use to call that sales profit, and then they'll turn around and use them for service and warranty. Well, what's happening on that part too? I mean, this model that we used to have of a dealership where you had parts, service, sales, and F&I, the whole thing changes when this happens. When so much more of it's done online, the dealership's probably not going to make as much money on the F&I or on the sale. So now all of a sudden, service has to go up. And as the warranty and the service work and the parts that are going to be needed are less because they're having more time to engineer things and make less problems in the products, that's going to change too. I years ago when I was working for Freightliner and Daimler bought them, and I was talking to one of the Daimler guys. So what's the warranty of a truck in Europe? There is no warranty. We don't need one. Everything goes as far as we say it will go, and we don't put money in for warranty. We don't price it in there, and there's no warranty. I'm like, that's insane. We've got, we kept raising warranties all of a sudden on cars. We had 5-year, 50,000, then we had 7-year, 100,000, then we had 10-year, 100,000. All these different warranties were coming out, and they were a selling factor. That's all they were, because companies knew that their product was getting good enough that they weren't going to have to spend a lot of money on warranty. They're making money on finance. They're making money on the actual original sale of the vehicle to the dealer. They're having to carry some of that. They're having to do things, but they were making money. Factories made probably not a lot of money in cases, but they were making money. What does that do to the sales model going forward? If all of a sudden you order online, you do your own research, you use social media and bloggers and whoever else is out there to tell you what the product really is, well, we get rid of the whole idea of sales people. There's going to be some people, maybe like me, that want to talk to a salesperson. I want to have that one-on-one experience with a real person and understand what they're saying so they can answer my questions that I might ask. I found myself writing to social influencers on the internet in their websites or on YouTube and saying, hey, what did you think about this? Or how did this work? And they're answering me, even though it might not be on their main videos that they're making for their vlog. I don't know how else you do it. How else do you find what you need to know if you don't have a way to talk to somebody that knows the product and knows it well? Well, I'm going off, and I know that, but the sales of vehicles is going to change. And as that sales changes, I think there's going to be a lot of changes for the dealerships. I think there's going to be a lot of changes for the salespeople. And I think it's even more important today than ever that car dealers and car dealer salespeople really find a niche that they're specialized in. They become the center point. They become the guy on the internet that's telling those things. I've seen some doing that. They're building themselves a crowd around them that asks questions, that goes and looks as them as the expert. And as that happens, they're going to find that they're the ones that get called. They're the ones who people turn to when they have questions so that they can become the number one salesperson, not only in their dealership, but maybe in a bigger area. So if you're a salesperson and you're working in the auto industry right now, don't give up. Get smart. Figure out a system that you can attract, that you can keep informed, that you can sell to, and then keep on them. Those referrals that you get from happy customers are the number one thing that you can do in sales. It's so easy to get a referral compared to go out and find somebody new. Even with the internet and the way that we do things today, advertising, much better to get a referral. They trust you, they believe you, and they'll buy from you if you have what they want and you answer the questions they have. That's my thought today. If you're a salesperson that sees dramatic change in your business or your business model, specialize, make yourself something that's unique in the marketplace and really work on becoming the expert in your field. I'm Jeff Mays. I'm the sales coach. And remember, marketing is the bigger system around sales. Thanks so much. Have a good one.